The secret to successful sex is attraction.
Oh, look, people. How do you like that marvelous plant? That's a Dutchman's pipe. Now, let me tell you how this works. This is a classic example of plants that have weird pollination mechanisms. See the color? That chocolate color attracts flies. And the flies go there and say, good God, that wonderful thing there looks like something to eat. I could lay my eggs there and have baby grubs growing in it. So what they do is they go down inside, and in there are the sex organs. Now, the only bad news is that they have hairs down here. These hairs are all pointing downward, and he can't get out. And he flies around madly in there, and he gets all coated with pollen. And then at a given moment, and only the flower knows when that is, the hairs all shrivel. And he flies out all covered with pollen.
The garden's glorious profusion, the shapes and fragrances of flowers, the riot of color exist to promote pollination. Blooming, buzzing nature is pure, unadulterated sex, and sexes. Botanists talk about male and female plants, but the difference between them lies primarily in the size and function of their sex cells, their gametes.
We use the words males and females not when we have just sex, but when we have sex between two gametes that are of different size. The female sex is the sex that produces a large, very expensive, and immobile egg. The male sex is the sex that produces the relatively cheap, small, and very mobile sperm cell. And so the basic male function as represented in the sperm cell is that of mobility, of finding the egg. The basic female function as represented in the energy-rich egg is that of nutrition.
But the distinction between the sexes is not always clear, even among higher animals.
Usually people think males are on one end of a continuum and females are on the other end. But in fact, we all begin as a bisexual organism. And we then differentiate into male individuals or female individuals in the case of mammals and many other vertebrates. What we've discovered over the last 15-20 years is that the determination of sex is not a unitary phenomenon.
Not a unitary phenomenon is a researcher's way of saying the whole thing is hugely complicated. It starts simply enough. All the genes in your body are packed into 23 pairs of chromosomes. One of the pairs controls gender. If the pair is two X chromosomes, it's a girl. If one chromosome is an X and the other a Y, it's a boy. It's the luck of the draw. Except among some, like the leopard geckos, who seem determined to do things their own way, sex chromosomes don't count, at least in the beginning.
These are leopard geckos. The male is, as you can see, quite a bit larger than the female. They're unusual in that, in these animals, the sex of the individual is not determined at fertilization or when egg and sperm meet. The sex is determined by the temperature at which the egg incubates.
This gecko was incubated at 90.5 degrees Fahrenheit and became a male. This one was kept at 78.8 degrees Fahrenheit and became a female.
So they do have the genes for maleness and femaleness, just like in a human, but the temperature at which the egg incubates determines which cascade will be initiated.
The cascade, hormones, a complicated chain triggered by temperature in the gecko, by sex chromosomes in humans. Each hormone triggers a series of chemical reactions. The flood of chemicals, in carefully timed sequence, tell the body what to do. The result is masculine or feminine, depending on which hormone was acting when. That's true for hyacinths and Homo sapiens, for walruses and wrasse, which is a fish, a switch-hitting fish.
In this tank we have two species of sequentially hermaphroditic fish. The white and black barred individuals are the humbug damselfish. The other individuals are the bluehead wrasse. In the bluehead wrasse, you'll have one male and a large number of females, and that male will dominate all of those females. If you remove that male, the largest female will, within minutes, begin to behave as a male, and within several weeks, her physiology and morphology will change, and she will become a male individual, whereas before she was female. What we think is happening in this process is that the brain is directing the sex change.
In the humbug and the wrasse, behavior influences hormones, which in turn influence behavior. It happens in humans too, but in different ways.
Even though the brain and thinking and psychology and social influences are very important in human sexuality, we really have not overcome our hormonal ancestry. We still, without a correct balance of estrogen and testosterone, neither males or females, men and women, cannot function without that. And many of the clinical problems I see in my practice are due to hormone problems.
There are dozens of hormones that have a variety of effects throughout a person's life. Adrenaline is a hormone. So is insulin. And so is testosterone, usually thought of as the male hormone. And estrogen, the female sex hormone.
It's very easy for people to underestimate the power of hormones. It's very much like people underestimate radiation or electricity. You can't see it, and the effective levels are so small that it might appear to be trivial. But these are extremely powerful compounds in the body, and they are what shape sex in the individual.
It starts at conception. The genes trigger enzymes which produce testosterone and estrogen and control how the fetus develops. Scientists have learned a lot from times when the process, unfortunately, goes wrong. It has gone wrong for several families in the Dominican Republic. They are carriers of a rare genetic defect that affects the body's ability to recognize testosterone. Families like this one, which had 7 daughters, gradually discovered they were mistaken.
Chichi, when did you notice that you were not female?
When I was about 10 or 12.
And how did you notice it?
Well, my breasts didn't grow.
Mario, what did you feel? How did you know that you were not a girl?
In my muscles and in my body shape.
This condition suppresses the male cascade. Baby boys have no visible penises or testes. Then, the surge of male hormones at puberty, testicles descend and the penis develops. Most of the boys successfully manage to make the gender switch then and later marry as males. So what you see is not always what you get with gender. Hormones must be produced and received in a specific order for everything to come out right. In the great majority of cases, it happens on schedule. Girls become women, and boys turn into men. Hormones serve as a biological clock through an individual's entire life, shaping our bodies, our lives, our society. We will now tell you the meaning of life. The meaning of life is making more life.